John Tavares is one of those players who has a calm and charming manner. He does not seek to be the center of attention, preferring to stay in the background, even though he holds the position of captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. But the numbers surrounding his name, and his play, numbers that will continue to grow week after week and season after season, place him in a place that naturally attracts attention and honor. On Monday, there was a celebration on the ice when Tavares scored his 1,000th NHL point against his former team on Long Island. And there wasn't much celebration when he scored his 1,001st point the next night, at the famous Madison Square Garden. 1,000 matters in a world where we love milestones. 1,001, not so much. Tavares is not an easy player or man to define. He doesn't open up much to the world, keeping a certain distance. It's not that he's shy, but it's cliché to be reserved. And he goes public mainly when necessary, in a Matt Sundin-like manner, although without Sundin's dominance. But each week and each season, it's the company Tavares meets, passes or approaches that says almost more about his hockey career than he would otherwise. However, he appreciates the linear trajectory of his career, from being the first pick in the 2009 NHL draft to his almost one-off career. Tavares just does what he does, night after night, in the small spaces on the ice, his way. If the game were played on one of Mike Gartner's mini rinks, Tavares and his hands would be legendary. But there's nothing wrong with being a good legendary. His 1,001 points are the most of any player drafted in 2009, and it's not even close. The second pick, Matt Duchene, is 236 points behind Tavares. Only Victor Hedman, from the same draft class, chosen third overall, can claim to have had a better career after a slower start. But there must be something surreal, yet very real, for Tavares in everything that has happened statistically this season and last, and in the seasons that will surely come. He is, after all, a hockey guy, a life dedicated to hockey. He knows the game, he really studies it. He knows which names mean something, and there should be an occasional moment of, is this real, when the latest goal or assist pushes Tavares into a new spot on the all-time list. Last season, he surpassed Bobby Orr and Maurice "Rocket" Richard for just the greatest player of all time, and of his generation, the greatest scorer. They gave a trophy with Richard's name on it. There should be a trophy with Orr's name on it. Surpassing Orr and Richard, that might give you pause for a moment, maybe longer, for a hockey kid turned adult like Tavares. Tavares had 975 points when the season began, one more than Hall of Famer and former Leaf Andy Bathgate. In October in Washington, Tavares scored his 986th point, tying him with Dave Kean on the all-time scoring list. In the next game, in Dallas, he surpassed Kean by scoring a goal against the Stars. No one will say that Tavares is a better player than Kean, voted the greatest Maple Leaf of all time. If you are the captain of the Leafs and you pass the former captain, the esteemed Kean, that player of excellence, the statue outside the Scotiabank Arena, that must humble you for more than a moment, even more than Tavares normally and naturally he is humble. From Kean, he surpassed two human standouts, Rick Middleton and Paul Kariya, one in the Hall of Fame, one who should be in the Hall of Fame. And then, on his way to 1,000, he passed the currently inactive Phil Kessel and former Leafs executive and great guy Jason Spezza on the scoring list. Now, next on the list for Tavares to conquer is Lanny McDonald, president of the Hockey Hall of Fame, with 1,006. And then Pat LaFontaine, with 1,013. And perhaps, before this season is over, he will surpass Ranger great Rod Gilbert, and should be Hall of Famer Patrick Elias, former Leafs defenseman and defensive genius Brian Leetch. What a list of names to be among them. If Tavares does what he normally does, and scores 50 more points in the final 55 games, he will finish the season surpassing another Hall of Famer, Alex Mogilny, then Montreal coach Martin St. Louis and Canuck great Daniel Sedin. Then, Stanley Cup collector Henri Richard. Amazing to see John Tavares leaving his mark on Leafs history. Leave your comments about this feat, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share for more content about the Maple Leafs. Until next time, Leafs Nation.